The origin of the national park, as its name suggests, is due principally to the wood buffalo. There is a population of around 6,000 wood buffaloes, the largest herd of these animals that exists in the wild in the world. The buffalo originated in Eurasia, where it was hunted by Palaeolithic man. In prehistoric times, during the last advance of the glaciers, this buffalo, which is now extinct, crossed from the north of Siberia to Alaska on the ice which covered the Bering Straits. With the retreat of the glaciers, the buffaloes spread to the east of the Rocky Mountains and went down from the Great Plains of the north to Mexico. Some buffaloes, however, stayed in the shelter of the boreal forests, and as a result of living in different habitats, two distinct subspecies developed. Those from the plains, the buffaloes we all know from the Wild West stories, and these ones from the forest, fewer in number and less well known. The decline of the wood buffalo was not due to hunting, as was the case of its relative from the plains. For some unknown reason, it was at the point of extinction at the beginning of the century, and to try to prevent this, the Wood Buffalo National Park was created in 1922. Then it sheltered a population of 1,500 buffaloes. The government had settled a group of plains buffaloes, the other subspecies, in the Elk Island National Park near Wood Buffalo. There, the buffalo population multiplied in a few years and outgrew the limits of the population that the park could sustain, with the result that 6,673 of them were transferred to Wood Buffalo between 1925 and 1928, with disastrous consequences. The plains buffaloes from this area infected the wood buffaloes with bovine brucellosis and tuberculosis. In addition, the two subspecies of buffaloes started crossbreeding until the pure-blooded wood buffalo seemed to have been lost. By the middle of the century, the loss of the wood buffalo subspecies was taken for granted, and the worst thing was that those in charge of wildlife protection and conservation had been responsible for it. Fortunately, a small herd of wood buffaloes which had not come into contact with the plains buffaloes was discovered in a remote corner of the park in 1958. Immediately, measures were taken to avoid crossbreeding, and the animals were sent to different reserves so as to minimize risks. This small group had saved the wood buffalo from extinction. Since 1970, the wood buffalo population in Wood Buffalo Park seems to have gone down gradually, while in other nearby areas like the Mackenzie Buffalo Reserve or the Elk Island National Park, it has increased considerably. Even so, the largest group is still here in Wood Buffalo. Within the park, wolves are the buffalo's only predators, and it is thanks to them that there is a healthy buffalo population. However, the movement of large herds affects an infinite number of lesser species which share the plains with them. The presence of the buffaloes poses a serious problem for these killdeers. The killdeers make their nests in the ground, and their eggs are perfectly camouflaged so as to prevent the crows and foxes from eating them. When the parents detect the presence of a potential enemy, they leave the nesting area noisily and pretend to have a broken wing, so that if it is a carnivore that is approaching, it will think it has a defenseless bird at its mercy and will start to chase it. In doing so, the intruder moves away from the nest and the eggs. But the trick does not work with the buffaloes. To the buffaloes, the killdeers must seem like noisy, desperate birds which they do not have the slightest intention of chasing. The eggs have been exposed for too long and the female returns to warm them under the indifferent gaze of the buffalo. Except for an unfortunate foot in the wrong place, the nests will be safe. But the nerva does not trust any of them. Once she has warmed her eggs, she returns to her strategy of distraction.